The Galactic Council chamber was the largest room Lisa Miller had ever seen. The walls curved up and up until they met in a dome so high she could barely see the top. Around her, beings from 1,000 different worlds filled the seats. Some had tentacles, others had wings. A few looked like walking crystals. They all watched her with strange eyes as she walked to the center. Lisa stood straight and tall in her blue Earth uniform. She had spent 20 years as humanity's voice in this chamber. 20 years of warnings that fell on deaf ears. Today would be different. Today, they had no choice but to listen. Behind her, the air shimmered and formed a huge hologram. It showed a world burning. Cities turned to ash. Ships fleeing into space while enemy vessels fired on them. The recording came from New Paradise, humanity's 5th colony to fall to the Vorthan Empire. 5 colonies in 5 months, Lisa said. Her voice carried to every corner of the vast chamber. 12 million human lives lost. The Vorthans grow bolder with each attack. She touched her wrist device. The hologram changed to show Vorthan warships. They were black and sharp, like knives made of shadow. We've shared this information before. We've begged for help. Each time, this council has done nothing. High Counselor Zixtal shifted on his floating platform. His body looked like a giant praying mantis made of blue glass. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes. Ambassador Miller, you humans always see threats where none exist. The Vorthans are traitors. They seek new markets, nothing more. Lisa's jaw tightened, but she kept her voice calm. Traitors don't bomb civilian centers. They don't enslave populations. She switched the hologram again. This time, it showed rows of humans in chains, working in Vorthan mines. This is from our colony on Haven Prime. Would you call this trade? A murmur ran through the chamber. Some representatives looked away from the image. Others whispered to their neighbors. But Zixtal's compound eyes showed no emotion. The council investigated these claims 3 months ago, he said. We found no proof of wrongdoing. Perhaps your colonists provoked the Vorthans. Humans are known for their aggressive nature. Lisa felt anger rise in her chest, but she pushed it down. We've given you sensor data. We've shown you refugee testimony. We've even captured Vorthan battle plans. What more proof do you need? Another council member spoke up. This one looked like a floating jellyfish made of light. The humans ask us to risk war with the Vorthans. War affects trade. Trade feeds our worlds. War is already here, Lisa replied. It's just hitting human worlds first. When the Vorthans finish with us, they'll come for you. Zixtal made a sound like breaking glass, his speciesed version of laughter. The Vorthans would never dare attack council worlds. We have the combined fleet to protect us. A fleet that relies on human shield technology. Lisa pointed out. Human weapon systems. Human tactical computers. What happens when we're gone? The chamber fell silent. Lisa could feel the weight of 1,000 eyes on her. Some looked worried now. Others still seemed dismissive. The council has decided, Zixtal announced. We will send another diplomatic mission to the Vorthans. We will ask them to moderate their expansion. This is our final word on the matter. Lisa stood there for a long moment. 20 years of service. 20 years of trying to protect not just humanity, but all peaceful species. And this was their answer. More talk, more delays, more human deaths. She straightened her uniform and looked directly at Zixtal. Then the council has failed in its purpose, and humanity will remember this day. As she walked out of the chamber, her footsteps echoed in the silence. Behind her, some representatives began to argue, but it was too late. The decision had been made, not by the council, but by their inaction. Humanity would have to save itself. Captain Daniel Hayes stood on the bridge of the Independence, staring at the tactical display. The screen showed what was left of New Haven. Once a beautiful world with green forests and blue oceans, it now burned orange and black. Smoke rose from cities that had housed 3 million people just days ago. His hands gripped the command console so hard his knuckles turned white. They were 8 hours too late. 8 hours that meant the difference between life and death for an entire colony. Commander Amy Roberts approached from her station. Her usually cheerful face looked gray with exhaustion. She held a datapad in her trembling hands. "Captain, I have the final casualty report." Daniel already knew it would be bad. He could see the rescue ships on his screen, searching through ruins for survivors. There were so few life signs. "Tell me." 3 million confirmed dead. Another 500,000 missing. Amy's voice cracked. The shelters weren't built to withstand Vorthan plasma weapons. When they breached the shields, everyone inside. She didn't finish. She didn't need to. Daniel had seen what Vorthan weapons did to unprotected civilians. He would see those images in his nightmares for years to come. "What about the Council peacekeeping fleet?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. They were stationed at Proxima Station. That's only 2 light years away. Amy pulled up another display. It showed the massive Council fleet sitting motionless at their base. Hundreds of ships, all powerful enough to have stopped this massacre, all sitting idle while humans died. "They never even powered up their engines," she said. "We sent 15 distress calls. The colony sent dozens more. They acknowledged receiving them, but..." She gestured helplessly at the screen. Daniel felt something break inside him. This was the 7th human colony the Council forces had abandoned. 7 worlds. 20 million dead. And still, their supposed allies did nothing. Lieutenant Paul Chen spoke up from the communications station. "Sir, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command." "Put it through to my ready room," Daniel said. He needed to hear this in private. In the small office beside the bridge, Admiral Patricia Carter's face appeared on the wall screen. She looked older than the last time he'd seen her. The weight of command had added new lines to her face. "Daniel," she said simply, "I'm sorry about New Haven." "We were too late, Admiral." Again. The words tasted bitter in his mouth. The Council fleet could have saved them. They chose not to. Carter nodded slowly. "I know. The President has been in emergency sessions all week. The Senate just finished voting." "Voting on what?" The Admiral paused, and Daniel saw something in her eyes he'd never seen before. It might have been relief, or perhaps resignation. "We're considering complete withdrawal from the Galactic Council. From the galaxy itself." Daniel sank into his chair. He had known this day might come, but hearing it said out loud still shocked him. "Are we really going to abandon everything we've built here?" "They abandoned us first," Carter replied. "Every dead colony proves that. The President is giving a speech tomorrow. If the Parliament votes yes, we begin evacuation immediately." Through the window, Daniel could see the rescue ships still searching New Haven's ruins. How many more colonies would burn while the Council debated trade agreements? "What are my orders, Admiral?" "Finish the rescue operation. Save who you can. Then prepare your crew for a long journey. If this vote passes, the Independents will help escort the evacuation fleet." After the Admiral signed off, Daniel returned to the bridge. His crew looked at him expectantly. They had all lost friends on New Haven. Some had lost family. "Amy, signal all rescue teams. We stay until we've checked every possible shelter." He looked around at his bridge crew. "After that, we plot a course for Earth. Things are about to change." As the Independents moved closer to the burning world, Daniel made a silent promise. Humanity would never again trust its safety to those who valued politics over lives. President John Morgan stood behind the podium in the United Earth Parliament. The vast hall held representatives from every human world, colony, and space station. Behind him, giant screens showed star maps of human space. The blue dots marking human systems spread across a quarter of the galaxy. Morgan was not a tall man, but he carried himself with quiet strength. His gray hair and lined face showed his 60 years. His voice, when he spoke, reached every corner of the silent chamber. "My fellow humans," he began, "for 200 years we have been members of the Galactic Council. We have shared our technology freely. We have sent our ships to defend other worlds. We have given our lives for the dream of a united galaxy." He paused, letting his words sink in. The representatives sat still as statues. In return, we asked for one thing. When danger came to our door, we asked our allies to stand with us, to protect our families as we had protected theirs. His voice hardened. That promise has been broken. The screens behind him changed. They now showed burning colonies, destroyed ships, mass graves. The cost of the Council's betrayal lay bare for all to see. 7 colonies lost, 20 million dead, while Council fleets sat idle, while Council members call us liars and warmongers. Morgan's hands gripped the podium. New Haven was the last straw. A murmur ran through the Parliament. Everyone had seen the footage from New Haven. The colony's final hours, broadcast across human space. Therefore, Morgan continued, I bring before you Resolution 2281. The complete withdrawal of humanity from the Galactic Council. The end of all technology sharing agreements. The restriction of our jump gate network to human vessels only. The murmur grew to a roar. Some representatives stood up, shouting questions. Others sat in shocked silence. Morgan raised his hand for quiet. I know this is drastic. I know the cost. But I also know the cost of staying. How many more colonies will we lose? How many more children will die while we wait for help that never comes? In the gallery above, alien ambassadors pressed against the glass barriers. Many had just learned of the resolution. Their translators worked overtime as they shouted protests. Ambassador Vector of the Altarians stood up. His feathered form shimmered with agitation. You cannot do this. Our medical ships depend on human technology. Our trade routes use your jump gates. Then perhaps, Morgan replied calmly, you should have thought of that before abandoning us to die. The Zephyrian ambassador, a being of living crystal, chimed in panic. The economic impact. Half the galaxy's industry runs on human systems. Systems we shared freely, Morgan said. Asking nothing in return but mutual defense, a promise you broke. The Parliament Speaker, Elena Rodriguez, stepped forward. The motion is before us. Resolution 2281. Complete withdrawal from the Galactic Council. Voting begins now. One by one, the representatives cast their votes. The tally appeared on the main screen. Green for yes, red for no. The green column grew steadily taller. Lisa Miller watched from the Earth delegation section. She had returned from the council chambers the day before. 20 years of her life trying to build bridges. Now those bridges burned. The final tally appeared. 1,847 for 23 against. The resolution passes, Rodriguez announced. Humanity will withdraw from the Galactic Council. Evacuation protocols begin immediately. In the gallery, the alien ambassadors erupted in chaos. Some begged, others threatened. Security had to escort several out. Morgan spoke one last time. To our true friends among the stars, we apologize. But we cannot sacrifice our children for those who see us only as tools. Humanity will find its own path. As he left the podium, the star maps behind him began to change. Blue dots started blinking out, one by one. The great withdrawal had begun. Outside the Parliament building, the first evacuation ships were already lifting off. Humanity was going home. 3 weeks after the vote, the galaxy began to understand what it had lost. The first signs appeared on the medical ships of the Altarian fleet. Dr. Crix watched his main diagnostic computer flash red warnings across every screen. The quantum processors that ran their healing chambers had started failing one by one. Run the backup systems, Crix ordered his staff. His feathers rustled with worry. The backups used the same human-made processors. Doctor, his assistant replied. They're all shutting down. The warranty codes expired yesterday. Crix knew what this meant. Without the healing chambers, they couldn't treat the plague affecting 3 of their colony worlds. Millions would die. He tried to contact the Human Tech Support Center on Altair Prime, but the building stood empty. The humans had left without a word. On the other side of the galaxy, the Zephyrian trade empire faced its own crisis. Captain Zal of the merchant vessel Crystal Song stared at his navigation display in confusion. The jump gate ahead of them, the one they'd used for 50 years, now glowed red instead of blue. Access denied, the computer announced. Non-human vessels no longer authorized. Zal's crystalline form pulsed with frustration. This jump gate cut their journey from 6 months to 6 hours. Without it, their cargo of food would spoil before reaching the frontier worlds. 17 billion Zephyrians depended on these supply runs. He opened a channel to the gate control station. A human face appeared on screen, one of the few still at their posts. "I'm sorry, Captain Zal," the operator said. "New protocols went into effect today. The gate network is now restricted to human vessels only. But we've been allies for centuries. Our people will starve." The human's face showed genuine sadness. "We were allies. Then New Haven burned while your fleet watched. I'm truly sorry, but the decision is final." The worst situation developed at the Council's military headquarters. Admiral 10 of the Combined Defense Fleet watched as system after system went offline. The shield generators protecting their base, all human design, flickered and died. "Switch to our own shield technology," Tyne ordered. "Sir, we haven't used our own shields in 100 years. The human systems were superior, so we stopped manufacturing ours." Ten's tentacles curled in distress. Without shields, their bases were defenseless. And worse, their weapon systems also used human targeting computers. Their entire military doctrine relied on human technology. On Centauri Prime, engineer Susan Peterson supervised the final shutdown of humanity's largest technical support center. Alien technicians crowded around her, desperate to learn the codes before she left. "Please," begged Supervisor Mex, his 6 arms waving frantically. "Just give us the basic maintenance protocols. Our entire infrastructure depends on your systems." Susan shook her head. "We offered training programs for 50 years. Your government always said it wasn't necessary. They said humans would always be here to fix things." She input the final shutdown sequence. Across the planet, human-made systems began switching off. Power grids fluctuated. Transportation networks stalled. Communication arrays went silent. "This is genocide," Mex shouted. "No," Susan replied quietly. "This is consequences. We didn't force you to become dependent on us. You chose that. We just asked for your help in return. You chose to let us die instead." As she walked to the waiting transport, Susan saw the city already changing. Lights flickered off in buildings. Air traffic slowed as control systems failed. By tomorrow, Centauri Prime would look very different. At the Emergency Council meeting, High Counselor Zixtal faced a room of panicking representatives. Every species reported the same problems. Their comfortable, advanced civilization was crumbling without human support. "We must demand the humans return," someone shouted. "They aren't listening to demands anymore," Zixtal replied. His usual confidence was gone. "We had 200 years to treat them as equals. We chose to use them instead. Now they're showing us the price of our arrogance." Outside the great council chamber, the lights of the capital city flickered and dimmed. The galaxy was learning a harsh lesson. Sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. The Vorthan Empire wasted no time. Like hungry wolves sensing weakness, their black fleets surged forward across the galaxy. Without human forces holding the defensive lines, entire sectors fell in days rather than months. Commander Vaktar of the Vorthan Third Fleet stood on his command deck, studying the tactical display. Where once stood walls of human warships, now empty space beckoned. The border worlds that had seemed so far away now lay open before him. "The humans are really gone," his second-in-command hissed with pleasure. "No more of their cursed shield technology. No more of their tactical genius." Vaktar nodded, his scales gleaming in the dim light. Signal all fleets. Begin full advance. Take every world the humans once protected. The Council's peacekeeping fleet scrambled to fill the void. Admiral Yunti, a veteran officer from the aquatic Deltan species, tried to organize a defense, but without human coordination systems, his forces were chaos. Why won't the shields activate? He demanded as another of his ships exploded under Vorthan fire. Sir, our ships use human shield generators. Without their activation codes, we only have basic barriers. Yunti watched helplessly as the Vorthan weapons, which human shields had easily stopped, tore through his fleet's defenses like paper. In one battle, he lost more ships than in the previous 50 years combined. The border worlds fell like dominoes. Kepler Station, once a bustling trade hub protected by human patrols, sent out desperate distress calls. The Council fleet arrived 12 hours too late. They found only debris and slave ships carrying away the population. In the Council chambers, panic replaced arrogance. High Councilor Zixtal received reports of loss after loss. Worlds that had felt safe behind human protection now begged for help that couldn't come. Send message to Ambassador Miller, Zixtal ordered. Tell her we may have been hasty in our judgment. Lisa Miller received the message aboard the human diplomatic vessel Horizon, already 10 light years from Council space. She read it twice before responding by video link. Zixtal appeared on her screen, and Lisa barely recognized him. The proud leader looked broken. His compound eyes had lost their shine. Ambassador Miller, surely humanity wouldn't abandon billions of innocent lives. Lisa's face remained calm, but her eyes held 20 years of accumulated frustration. High Counselor, we spent 2 decades warning you about the Vorthan threat. We shared intelligence, battle plans, even captured Vorthan commanders for interrogation. What did you do? We believed they were merely expanding trade routes. You called us warmongers. You said humans saw threats everywhere. You let our colonies burn while your fleets watched. Lissa leaned forward. Now you want our help. The Vorthans are enslaving entire species. The Cathari homeworld fell yesterday. The Belton colonies are begging for evacuation. Without your technology, your strategies, we cannot stop them. Lisa pulled up a display showing the fallen human colonies. New Paradise, Haven Prime, Destiny, Crestfall, Aurora, New Singapore, New Haven. 3 million dead on New Haven alone. Where were you then? Zixtal's mandibles clicked, a sign of deep distress. We made mistakes. We see that now. But please, the innocent will suffer for our pride. They already are, Lisa replied. Just as our innocents suffered. The difference is, we begged for help. You demanded. The connection ended, leaving Zixtal staring at a blank screen. Around him, council members shouted blame at each other. Some accused the military commanders. Others blamed the trade coalition. None accepted that they had all chosen comfortable lies over uncomfortable truths. On the front lines, the Vorthan advance continued. Planet after planet fell. The slave ships grew fat with captured populations. Worlds that had known peace for generations learned what humans had faced alone. Commander Vaktar smiled as he read the latest reports. The Council begs the humans for help. The humans refuse. Their weakness is our opportunity. Shall we press toward the core worlds, Commander? Yes. Let them learn what the humans already knew. The Vorthan Empire stops for no one. Behind the advancing Vorthan fleet, the galaxy burned, and humanity was no longer there to hold back the flames. The human exodus was the largest migration in galactic history. From every corner of human space, ships gathered in massive convoys. City-sized vessels carried entire populations, while countless smaller craft formed protective screens around them. Dr. Ryan Cook stood in the main laboratory of Research Station Yama, overseeing the final data purge. His team worked quickly, erasing decades of scientific advancement from the computers. Every formula, every blueprint, every innovation that humans had created would leave with them. Are we really taking everything? His assistant, Helen Park, asked as she watched another server bank go dark. Everything, Ryan confirmed. The Council had 200 years to learn from us. They chose to take our gifts without understanding them. Now they'll have to start over. Outside the station's windows, the evacuation fleet grew larger by the hour. Agricultural ships carried seed banks and livestock. Hospital ships held entire medical libraries. Industrial vessels transported whole factories, broken down and packed for the journey. Captain Emma Thompson commanded the Destiny's Wake, one of the massive colony ships. Her vessel alone carried 5 million people, the entire population of the Singapore sector. The ship was a small world unto itself, with farms, schools, and factories all contained within its armored hull. Navigation. What's our status? Emma asked from her command chair. All civilian vessels from sectors 7 through 15 are now in formation, Captain. Military escort is taking positions. Emma nodded. The organization required for this exodus was staggering. Yet humans had been secretly preparing for years, building ships in hidden shipyards, developing new technologies away from alien eyes. On the bridge of the generation ship New Horizons, Admiral Sarah Kim coordinated the grand evacuation. Her tactical display showed thousands of blue dots, each one a human vessel leaving Council space forever. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Ethereals, her communications officer reported. They're asking to observe our departure. Sarah considered this. The Ethereals were master shipbuilders, yet even they had never attempted anything on this scale. Grant them permission. Let them see what humanity can accomplish when united. The ethereal observers, beings of pure energy contained in crystalline shells, watched in awe as human fleets assembled. They counted over 10,000 capital ships, 50,000 escorts, and countless support vessels. The true extent of human industrial power, hidden for so long, now revealed itself. In the workshops of the fleet, engineers like Marcus Jones made final preparations. His team had developed new jump drives, capable of traveling between galaxies, technology they had never shared with the Council. The extra-galactic drives are tested and ready, Marcus reported to his superiors. We can make the jump to Andromeda whenever the fleet is assembled. Good work, his commander replied. The Council always assumed they knew the limits of human technology. They're about to learn how wrong they were. Meanwhile, the methodical stripping of human colonies continued. Entire cities were disassembled and loaded onto transport vessels. Nothing of value would remain behind. Even the dirt from agricultural worlds was scooped up and taken. Soil enriched by human farming techniques. Lieutenant Kevin Rodriguez supervised the evacuation of Mars Base Alpha, humanity's first colony beyond Earth. As the last transport lifted off, he took a final look at the red planet that had been humanity's first step to the stars. Goodbye, old friend, he whispered. Maybe someday we'll build again on a world that appreciates us. The alien species watched this exodus with a mixture of awe and fear. The Delphini ambassador transmitted a message to his homeworld. We never knew. The humans hid their true strength. While we debated trade agreements, they built a fleet that could conquer the galaxy. Instead, they choose to leave. As the final human worlds were evacuated, President Morgan addressed the fleet from Earth's main orbital station. Today we leave not in defeat, but in hope. We sought partnership and found betrayal. Now we seek a new home among new stars. Behind him, Earth itself prepared for departure. Massive planetary engines, built in secret, would move humanity's birth world to join the Exodus fleet. Nothing would be left for the Council to claim. The greatest migration in history was nearly complete. Soon, humanity would turn their backs on the Milky Way forever. 6 months had passed since humanity began its withdrawal. The Vorthan fleet now approached Earth itself, the blue jewel that had given birth to human civilization. Commander Vaktar had ordered his forces to take humanity's homeworld as a final insult, knowing humans had left it deliberately vulnerable. In the council chambers, chaos reigned. Member species shouted and blamed each other as reports of Vorthan victories poured in. Without human defenses, even the core worlds lay exposed. High Counselor Zixtal had aged visibly in these months, his once bright carapace now dull with stress. "Silence," he commanded, his voice barely rising above the pandemonium. "We must act now, or all is lost." The Altarian delegate stood, his feathers ruffled with fear. "The Vorthans will reach our homeworld within weeks. Our shields can't stop them. Our weapons can't hurt them. We need human technology." "The humans are gone," someone shouted. "They abandoned us." "No," said Ambassador Elan of the Peaceful Quarry. "We abandoned them first. They begged for our help. We gave them empty words while their children died." Zixtal raised his appendages for quiet. "I propose we vote. Full acceptance of all human defense proposals from the past 20 years. Apologies for our failures. Reparations for their losses. Permanent seats on the High Council for Human Representatives." The vote was swift and unanimous. Every species, faced with Vorthan conquest, suddenly found the wisdom they had lacked before. The message was prepared and transmitted to the human fleet, now assembled at the edge of known space. President John Morgan stood in the conference room of the New Horizons, surrounded by his advisors. The Council's message played on the main screen. Offers of partnership, promises of support, desperate pleas for humanity's return. Admiral Patricia Carter shook her head slowly. "They offer everything we asked for 20 years ago, everything we begged for while our colonies burned." "It's too late," said Defense Secretary Alan White. "We've committed to the Exodus. Our people have dismantled their homes, packed their lives into these ships. We can't go back." Maria Santos, head of the Genesis project, pulled up long-range sensor data. "Andromeda is waiting. 12 habitable systems, no advanced civilizations to disappoint us. We can build something better there." Morgan studied the faces around him. These were the people who had guided humanity through its darkest hour, who had planned this massive undertaking while the Council dismissed their warnings. "They're offering us seats on the High Council," someone mentioned. "They're offering us what should have been ours by right," Morgan replied. "Partnership shouldn't be a prize given in desperation. It should be freely offered in trust." Lisa Miller, who had spent her career trying to build bridges with the Council, spoke last. "I gave them 20 years. 20 years of warnings, of begging, of showing them evidence. They called me an alarmist, said humans were too aggressive, too paranoid." She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the vast human fleet. "Now they want us back, not as partners, but as saviors. They don't want our friendship. They want our shields and weapons." Morgan made his decision. Open a channel to the Council. The connection established quickly. Zixtal appeared on screen, flanked by desperate representatives from every major species. Hope flickered in their alien eyes. "High Counselor," Morgan began, his voice calm but firm. "The United Earth government has received your message. We've considered your offers carefully. Then you'll return. You'll help us fight the Vorthans." Morgan paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. "No, you didn't want allies. You wanted servants. We decline." The screen erupted with alien voices, pleas, threats, promises of wealth and power. Morgan cut the connection with a gesture. "Signal all ships," he ordered. "Prepare for extra-galactic jump. It's time to find our new home." As the human fleet powered up their revolutionary drives, they left behind a galaxy that had finally learned the value of what it had lost. The Council's chambers echoed with regret as member species realized their arrogance had cost them their greatest protectors. In space, the human fleet began to glow with energy. Earth itself, carried by massive engines, took its place in the formation. The exodus was complete. The point of no return had been crossed. The human fleet hung at the edge of the galaxy like a constellation of hope. 15 billion souls aboard thousands of ships, all waiting for the moment that would change their destiny forever. The extra-galactic drives hummed with power, creating a soft blue glow around each vessel. Captain Daniel Hayes, now Admiral of the Expeditionary Fleet, stood on the bridge of the Independence. His crew worked with quiet efficiency, running final checks on systems that would carry them across the void between galaxies. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Commander Amy Roberts announced. "Drive synchronization is complete." Daniel nodded. Through the view screen, he could see the Milky Way stretching out behind them, a spiral of stars that had been humanity's home for millions of years. Ahead lay darkness, and beyond that, the distant glow of Andromeda. On the science vessel Pioneer, Dr. Maria Santos studied the data from their long-range probes. "Admiral Hayes, I'm confirming our earlier scans. The Andromeda galaxy shows 12 habitable systems in our target zone. No signs of advanced civilizations, no empires, no councils, just empty worlds waiting for us." "A clean slate," Daniel murmured. "A chance to build something better." The fleet had left behind automated beacons at the galaxy's edge. Each one broadcast the same message on all frequencies. "We tried to protect this galaxy together. You chose division. Humanity will find its own path among the stars. Do not follow." President Morgan's voice came through the fleet-wide communication system. "My fellow humans, we stand at the threshold of a new chapter. Behind us lies betrayal and loss. Ahead lies possibility and hope. Today, we choose our own destiny." In the medical ship Hope's Dawn, Dr. Susan Chen worked with her team to ensure all colonists were safely secured for the jump. Families held each other close. Children pressed their faces to windows for one last look at the Milky Way. "Mom, will we ever come back?" asked a young boy named Tommy. His mother, pilot Jane Rivers, smoothed his hair. "No, sweetie. We're going to build new homes, better homes, worlds where people keep their promises." The final preparations were complete. Admiral Hayes gave the order that would echo through human history. "All ships, engage extragalactic drives. It's time to find our new home." The fleet began to glow brighter. Energy cascaded between vessels, linking them in a web of blue light. Space itself seemed to bend around them. Then, in a flash that briefly outshone entire star systems, humanity vanished from the Milky Way. Behind them, the galaxy faced its fate alone. The Vorthan fleet found Earth empty, its cities stripped bare, its technology removed. Commander Vaktar stood on the abandoned world, his scales dim with confusion. The prize he had sought was gone. In the council chambers, silence reigned. Member species sat in stunned disbelief as sensor stations confirmed what their eyes had seen. Humanity, a quarter of the galaxy's population, the source of its most advanced technology, had simply left. High Counselor Zixtal stared at the tactical display showing Vorthan fleets advancing on core worlds. Without human shields, weapons, and tactical expertise, the outcome was inevitable. "We chose pride over partnership," he said quietly. "Now we pay the price." Meanwhile, in the void between galaxies, the human fleet traveled through compressed spacetime. Children born during the journey would know no home but the ships, no sky but the stars streaming past their windows. Captain Emma Thompson watched her navigation display as they approached the halfway point. 2 years to Andromeda," she announced to her crew. 2 years to our new beginning." Lisa Miller stood in the observation deck of the New Horizons, her reflection ghost-like in the transparent aluminum. 20 years as a diplomat, trying to build bridges that others burned. Now she would help build a new civilization, one based on trust and mutual respect. As the Milky Way shrank to just another star in the darkness behind them, humanity faced forward. They carried the lessons of betrayal, but also the hope of redemption. In Andromeda, they would build not just new worlds, but a new way of living together. The greatest journey in human history had begun. Behind them, a galaxy learned too late that some things, once lost, can never be recovered.